may not think that it's snowmobile season yet, but I'll tell you, there's a lot of open trails already out across the province. Well, I am right now down in Niagara Falls. You can see the snow behind me. We have locations up in central Ontario, in Orillia, as well as other locations up in Cochrane, where there actually are operating trails right now. Again, we have such a diverse and a huge province. So many things look different in many areas, but we've got an exciting little time here. We want you to understand how important it is for your safety as we're talking about snowmobile safety. 14 people lost their lives last year during the 21-22 snowmobile season, and we've already tragically had 2 people lose their lives already this year in snowmobiling collisions and incidents. We have messages here from our Commissioner, Thomas Carrique, Michael Kersner, the Solicitor General, and Carolyn Mulrooney, the Minister of Transportation. And we have other guests joining us from across the province. This is going to be a great time to just get more ready as we look forward to the snowmobiling season. But to kick things off, let's hear a message from our commissioner, my commissioner, Thomas Carrique, on snowmobile safety.
As Commissioner of the Ontario Provincial Police, I want to remind every snowmobiler that your season can be a safe one. All it takes is a firm commitment to make every ride safe. Over the past 10 years, 163 people have died in OPP-investigated snowmobile incidents, traveling on unsafe frozen waterways, driving too fast and losing control, snowmobiling under the influence of alcohol and/or drugs, as well as other risky actions and behaviors are not worth the risk to your safety and the safety of others. Thanks to our partners at the Ontario Federation of Snowmobile Clubs, these volunteers work hard to prepare and maintain more than 30,000 kilometers of world-class trail network with the goal of providing our communities with safe and exceptional snowmobile trails and a rider experience that is like no other. Please make smart decisions throughout the snowmobile season and help make 2023 a year that sees every snowmobiler make it home safely after every ride.
And that's exactly what we want to hear. Make it home safely at the end of every ride. Joining me here in Niagara Falls is Ron Arnold, a conservation officer with the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry. You're the Ministry of Natural Resources, obviously across the province, and it's such a huge responsibility. Talk to me about Crown Land and what it is that you do out this time of year.
As you know, most of Southern Ontario is private property, but when we get into the near north, you're able to experience amazing trails and opportunities across the province on Crown Land. Keep in mind that if there are any signage on any of these roads, like Crown Land access roads or forest access roads, keep in mind that they'll be signed to keep out or keep off. The OFC does an amazing job keeping our trails open for the public, and we want to maintain them, that's for sure.
Well, there are so many areas out there where people maybe go hunting, they go fishing, right. They're on water, and again, the water is not 100% frozen in many areas right now. You've got your snow machine here as well. You may see these Ministry of Natural Resources vehicles, patrolling different areas. Obviously, you're there making sure people are safe and people are doing what they should be. Such an important job, and thank you for what you do. We want to continue this conversation really across the province, and I want to bring in Paul Beaton, who is our snowmobile program coordinator. He is located right now up in Orillia. And what's the conditions looking like in Orillia there right now, Paul?
Well, good morning, Gary. Despite the freezing rain this morning we had here in the Orillia area, I've seen some ice fishermen out on Lake Couchiching behind me. But it's been amazing how the weather's been up and down over the last month and a half or so, with some incredible snowfall, some pretty intense thaws, and now down below freezing temperatures again. So we always want to make sure that people are aware of their local conditions and that they should make the right decisions before they head out.
Oh, that is so vitally important. And I can see the ice in the lake behind you. You're there, on the water's edge. And are you seeing any snowmobiles venturing out? What's the thickness of the ice where you are right now?
Well, I'll tell you, we've seen quite a few people out on foot on the lake. I haven't seen any sleds out this morning, and maybe that's a wise decision. You cannot be too sure about the thickness of this ice until you have like a really good cold snap, like a prolonged period of cold weather, just to ensure that the ice is thick enough to support the weight of you and your sled.
Yeah. Well, no ice is ever considered safe ice. Ron knows that. You know that. We all know that. And who more importantly knows that is Bruno. Bruno was and is, happy to be here. We have a video message from him. He had a pretty scary situation last year. I really want everyone to pay attention to what he learned, what his story was, and then we'll talk about it. But let's just hear from Bruno right now, a survivor in a snowmobiling incident from last year.
My name is Bruno Bertucci, and I am an avid snowmobiler and ice fisherman. And last year, unfortunately, in February, me and a friend of mine, we went out on a ice fishing adventure to try and find a new lake. And we went on to uncharted kind of waters where we haven't been before. And we got out on the lake. I didn't see a lot of snowmobile tracks, so I was should have listened to my intuition. But we continued on, and then unfortunately I realized I was on really thin ice, and I'm towing all my my ice fishing gear. I felt my machine just kind of start to stutter. I thought I was on overflow, but it turned out I broke through the ice, started to go down, realized what I did, jumped off the side of the machine. Thank God I had my float suit on, saved my life. I didn't have my ice picks readily available. Now, early ice, they're always around my neck if I'm going out early ice. All the videos and all the information that I had been watching all came to surface right away, and it just kicked in instinctively, and it really helped me get out of the water, get on safe ice, and get to my truck to warm up. So this is what I've learned from my experience. Number one, now I always check with local fishermen, local tackle shops on the area that I'm going to. A few takeaways: always have your ice picks handy, and always travel with a buddy. I am looking forward to getting back out on the ice this winter and the snowmobile trails. I will be doing it with a lot more caution, and I will be doing it with a buddy at all times. And just remember, no ice is safe ice.
So many issues that he brought to light. Ron, Paul, I'm not sure if you're still on in Orillia there. I know we're getting ready for OFSC as well. But Paul, we talk about some of the preparation to be out on the water, having ice picks, having a floater suit, having emergency kit in your snowmobile. His experience is a fortunate one. His snowmobile went down 40 feet into the lake, and he was able to crawl out of the ice, slowly and terrified, I'm sure. But he is lucky. When we talk about cold water immersion and hypothermia, you only have a short period of time to self-rescue yourself. And maybe, Paul, tell me a little bit about some safety equipment that we should really be mindful of in our snow machines.
Yeah, absolutely. And first, I want to thank Bruno for sharing his story with us. And it's a reminder to everyone that it's about a preparation. And he spoke about watching some videos and having some knowledge, and knowledge is power. But, one thing that Bruno talked about is having his immersion suit. Having something like this on your body is so important. So if something unfortunate does happen, you increase your chances of survivability by quite a bit. And, Carrie, we talk about, being prepared and having equipment on board with us. And some things like this, like having some extra gloves and a hat, some warm clothes that are, able to, if you do have to break down, go through the ice, something unfortunate happens, it increases your chances of survivability by quite a bit. I also like to keep things on hand, like some simple hand tools. You get like a wrench, some pliers, a screwdriver, the type of tools that you might be able to utilize to help you overcome some minor breakdowns or minor challenges. I look at having things like a candle and a lighter, type of stuff that you would have on you in a survival kit, in a safety kit, that if you unfortunately do break down in the middle of nowhere, you can increase your chances of survival. Really, the options are endless. You want to have stuff that is applicable to you, make it customized, but keep it with you at all times. Don't take those chances.
Absolutely. So I'm here with Ron. This is Ron's snowmobile here as well. And from the Ministry of Natural Resources, we've got extra fuel tank here on this machine, a big pack where he keeps all his equipment. Ron, you've got a throw line, but really what's hanging on here is normally hanging on your neck, right? And just talk to me a little bit about what this is.
So it's important to keep your ice picks around your neck. If you fall through unsafe ice, remember to use your ice picks by pulling them apart. They're around your neck, jab them into the ice, and kick back towards the direction you came from. Don't keep going the opposite direction. You knew that safe ice was behind you, head back in that direction. As you kick, kick, roll, and get yourself back onto dry land and set up. And if you're in a remote location, start a fire, set a shelter, get yourself warmed up because hypothermia can set in quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking about remote locations, I want to go over to Josh DeLuca, acting staff sergeant up in Cochrane, Ontario, way up north. I'm curious to know what the conditions are like up there, but we really want everyone to understand where the trails are open and where they're closed and how you can go out and have some fun. But Josh, tell me about what the trails look like and what it looks like up in Cochrane.
Good morning, Kerry. It's a great day out here. As you can see, I'm out on the trails myself. It is absolutely beautiful. Despite the warm weather we've had over the past week, our trails are still open, and we have had quite a bit of riders coming. Just before you flipped over to me, we had a large group of probably about 10 riders come through here. So it's a great day out on the trails up this way.
That's awesome. It's great to see people up there already enjoying some of the trails and what's going on. Obviously, rules of the trail apply. You know, you need to be safe. You need to be responsible. We want you to be sober. Tell me what some of your officers up in Cochrane are doing to make sure that everyone gets to go home safe at the end of their adventure.
Absolutely, Kerry. Just like driving a motor vehicle, the biggest one is going to be impaired operation on the motorized snow vehicles. We always ask the people drive with a zero tolerance of alcohol. Our officers are on the trails actively patrolling with their approved screening devices, conducting mandatory alcohol screening for all riders on the trails.
Yeah, and that applies. Mandatory alcohol screening anytime an officer, stops a motor vehicle or stops a snowmobile on a trail. If they have suspicion of alcohol or not, they can require a breath test. And obviously, we need you to make sure that your vehicle, your snowmobile, is licensed and insured. You're wearing all the appropriate safety equipment that's going to keep you safe in case of a worst case scenario. Again, it is so important. Again, tragically, already 2 snowmobilers have lost their lives this year. 14 lost their lives last year, and completely tragic and preventable when we do those investigations on that. Now, we want you to have fun, and there's lots of opportunities to do it. Ron was talking about some of the opportunities here on Crown land, but I want to bring in the Ontario Federation of Snowmobile Clubs, Ryan Eckmeyer from in Orillia right now. And Ryan, I just want to hear a little bit about the trail conditions right now. This has probably been a very frustrating season for you as many maybe skiing facilities aren't open as well. What are your trails looking like? Are you grooming, and what's our status right now?
For doing this today, really important week for us. The trails are going to become available as conditions allow for it. So it's been a little bit of a hit and miss type of early season for us. We obviously have a number of trails available in the north, which is pretty predictable, but the snowfall followed by warm weather and a little bit of rain, it has delayed things a little bit in the south. But with that said, we are seeing hundreds of kilometers become available each and every day. The key message is for all riders to check our interactive trail guide before they head out, make sure that trails are available and make sure that they're able to get to where they need to go.
Absolutely. Those trail permits, and I was looking on the trail maps actually just this morning, and we do have some yellow trails, which are partially open out towards, I believe, Haliburton, out towards Eastern Ontario, up in Northern Ontario, up in through Cochrane. There's actually significantly more trails that are open that people can get out to enjoy, but we want to make sure you understand how important that you respect those landowners and the status of those trails. Going on a closed trail is considered trespassing. You could be charged by officers that are out there doing their patrols. We have our snowmobile patrolling officers all across the province, and our partners with the Ministry of Natural Resources as well out there doing their patrols as well. It is so critically important. We want people to have a great long season, and how are the groomers making out, and what's the forecast there, Ryan, for the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I got to give a big shout out to our clubs who are the ones who are on the ground dealing with the weather fluctuations and making the most out of what they're given by Mother Nature. The groomers are out. They're out creating a base. Really what we need is that base and then cold. The cold helps freeze up the base, which gives us a sustainable trail for the season, and then we can build it as more snow comes. So big shout out to our clubs for doing what they can to get trails available. Also want to give a shout out to our 18,000 landowners out there who allow all of this to happen each and every year. Without them, there wouldn't be a trail network, and that's another key safety message, which is stay on the trail. Stay on the marked trail, be sure that you're riding within the posted areas, and that's going to allow us to keep doing this year over year.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And all these trails that are out there, we don't want people going on, on closed trails, and we don't want you going through private property and be trespassing, because you don't know what kind of hazards are out there. Having those groomers out there, making sure that you can go and enjoy your time. Always have a plan, know where you're going, and some of your trails, obviously, Ryan, also would go over frozen water, right? And in terms of leaving those areas, if it's not marked and safe, it is so important. Going through the water can be absolutely devastating. And I know even I have with Ron here as well, we talked a little bit about cold water immersion and the seriousness of it and how short your time is if you actually go through the ice. And maybe Ron and Ryan, while you're there, just talk to me a little bit about the cold water immersion.
Hypothermia can set in quickly, especially if you fall into frigid cold waters. We got to remember the 1-10-1 rule. We talk about it in the summertime with our marine work. We talk about it in the wintertime. If you fall into frigid cold waters, you'll have approximately 1 minute to get your breathing under control. It'll be a shock to your system. You'll have approximately 10 minutes of meaningful movement and up to 1 hour before you become unconscious. So it's very important to wear a flotation device, some sort of a floater suit or something as you're riding across some of these places, so that if you do happen to fall in, you have a fighting chance to get yourself back to safety.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ryan, when you're out on the trails there as well, like your groomers are out there, they're in radio contact, and sometimes they may come across hazards that are unexpected, and that's what, as a rider, you need to be prepared for as well, because trees can fall, things can happen very quickly. So you have ongoing patrols of your trails yourself. Is that correct?
Yeah, and it's a really important message, Kerry. This is an unengineered environment. It's a natural environment, and that's what draws, upwards of 100,000 snowmobilers out each and every year. The idea of getting out off the beaten path, doing something that's a little bit different than driving on highways. But with that comes, the fact that hazards can happen, conditions can change. It's really on the snowmobiler themselves to be aware of different hazards, be aware of changing weather conditions, being aware of changing trail conditions. Our clubs do an incredible job of staying on top of different weather patterns, different trail conditions, and making sure that the interactive trail guide reflects when it's available to ride. But with that said, things can happen, within minutes or hours in Ontario winter. So be aware, be safe, and the ultimate message is safety is a shared responsibility, and we want everyone to come home to their family after a great day of riding. So that's what we're out here to try to do.
Absolutely, and let's bring everybody back in here if we can with Cochrane as well, with Josh. But these trails are used at your own risk, just like Crown Land is used at your own risk. You may have permissions to travel on private property, and when you have those permissions in place, if you have your OFSC trail permit, you can go on trails that are open. But again, if you're riding in municipalities, some communities have the ability for you to ride from your residence to the nearest trail or to a portion of the roadway that allow you to travel. But again, driving on ditches, on roads, unmaintained, unplowed roads can have hazards in it. And obviously, seeing the beautiful north up there in Cochrane, Josh, it looks gorgeous. I'm not sure what your temperature is right now. We got a balmy 2 degrees. We got a little bit of rain coming down right now. But what are you looking at temperature-wise right now in Cochrane,
We're currently sitting at about -2 right here, so it's a beautiful day to be out on the trails.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? I just love to see this. We have such a diverse province, and there's so many opportunities to get out and enjoy. And snowmobiling is a great winter sport. We want you to be out there. We want you to have fun. Just make sure you're prepared. Make sure you're ready. Make sure you have your emergency equipment and your safety equipment. You're riding with a team. When you do head out, tell people where you're going, what your route is going to be, when you're expected to be back, and make sure you have enough supplies to get through that adventure and have a great time. We have some other videos we want to share. We have messages from the Solicitor General, Michael Kerzner. Let's go to that video first, and then we'll have one more message from Ministry of Transportation. But Solicitor General Michael Kerzner.
Hi, I'm Michael Kersner, Ontario Solicitor General. It's Snowmobile Safety Week, and I want to thank the Ontario Provincial Police and the Ontario Federation of Snowmobile Clubs for spreading the word about snowmobile safety. Snowmobiling is an important part of winter in Ontario. It's a part of our heritage, our transportation, and our recreation. And as Solicitor General, I'm responsible for keeping Ontario safe. So I want everyone to take this moment to remind everyone to please be careful out there while snowmobiling. Rien pour moi en tant que solliciteur général n'est plus important que la sécurité de notre province. Please avoid lakes and rivers, and please make sure you and your machines are equipped to take on any challenges or mishaps. Dress appropriately and ensure your snowmobile has a safety kit. And above all, no riding while impaired by drugs or alcohol or speeding at any time. Both are dangerous and against the law. I want to wish everyone a safe and enjoyable winter season. Enjoy the trails.
Hello, I'm Caroline Mulrooney, Ontario's Minister of Transportation. This week is Snowmobile Safety Week in Ontario. With more than 30,000 kilometers, Ontario is home to some of the world's largest recreational snowmobile trails. And it's up to all of us to do our part to keep them safe for everyone. Last year, our government announced an $800,000 grant to the Ontario Federation of Snowmobile Clubs through the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation. And this year alone, we've committed $500,000 to projects that improve the quality of trails. This funding will help us ensure that snowmobilers continue to safely enjoy the province's premier trails for generations to come. This Snowmobile Safety Week and during the winter season, please remember to ride safely and responsibly.
Great messages, and that is what we want to communicate really all across the province. If you're going to be out riding and enjoying this great winter sport, do it safely, do it responsibly, get home at the end. Again, always riding with a team, riding with a buddy is gonna help you. If you're a sportsman, if you're an ice fisherman, towing equipment and having extra loads on you, realize how that affects your ability to navigate and get around. Have yourself a wonderful season. From everybody here, from Cochrane, from Orillia, and right down here in Niagara Falls. Happy snowmobiling. Have a safe season. Always ride safe. Always ride responsibly, and always ride sober. Take care, everyone. Have a great season.